Most recently, the famous hermit Agafya Lykova shared with reporters the details of the rape. She was raped by a resident of the city of Abaza, who was her distant relative. When asked by journalists, if you had a husband, what kind of mother would you be? She just shook her head. We thought to live in virginity. About this, and it is impossible to say, about Tropine. I told him with a threat, you will only offend me an orphan, God will punish you. But I was not afraid of anything. That's all. But thank God that the Lord has not yet left in ultimate trouble, she admitted. As the journalists noted, these are beautiful stories about the taiga dead end only on paper. In fact, there is nothing beautiful about it, there is a nasty semi-criminal everyday life about dirty men and a forest nymph. Well, that's what they did. Everything is written in the books. This was done by force, added Agafia. And thoughts arose to lay hands on yourself? Asked the journalist. God save me from this, answered Agafia. In the book by Vasily Peskov, Taiga Dead End, published in 1983, a whole chapter is devoted to this story. Then Agafia Karpovna was 45 years old. In the second half of February, I received a telegram from friends, Agafia is ill. We will take her out by helicopter to Tashta. And 4 weeks later, in letters and telegrams, the stunning news, Agafia got married. The surname, name and patronymic of the newlywed were called. While I, alarmed and puzzled, was getting ready for a long journey, another letter came from Agafia. Not a word about marriage. Curved, hasty lines, as usual, with a mention of God, with a wish for health. The bottom line, come for Christ's sake, I am sick and in grief, the journalist wrote. In Tashta, the information was confirmed. The husband is a local resident, an old believer, who flew out of the taiga 3 days before the arrival of the guests. Realizing all the delicacy of the moment, we were in no hurry with questions, Agafia started herself. We listened without interrupting as she spoke out. That's it. I wrote to Sergei Petrovich Cherepanov, head of the exploration expedition, I renounce Ivan Vasilievich Tropine. I wrote to the mothers, nuns, on the Upper Yenisei repentance and prayer to be tonsured as a nun, the story says. After Sands finds out, Tropine is an old believer according to the 6th or 7th generation, lived in Abaza, repeatedly brought Lykova salt, flour, household items. Was married. On retirement he got a job as a boatman for geologists. Ivan Vasilievich appeared at the dead end with residence permits. As we understood, there was no objection. But Agafia offered to live like brother and sister. Without a lot of work, the 63-year-old fellow believer managed to explain to her that such a life is impossible. We are living people, and God will have nothing against it. We must live like a husband and wife, the book says. The honeymoon, however, was cut short. The reason for this, as you can understand, is simple. Everything that begins a married life for Agafia turned out to be not honey, but a bitter sexnaya. Age, severity of faith, belatedness of everything, fear, everything merged into one. The unfortunate woman felt everything as sinful, unnecessary and ridiculous, wrote Peskov. Soon the newlyweds quarreled. Agafia categorically refused to move into the house with her husband, who did not want to settle in the taiga. Then she wrote a second letter to the nuns, in which she renounced Tropine, the rapist, the woman explained. 12 days of hemorrhage, all the blood gushed out. A terrible thing. I ruined my health to the end. Thank God that there were people who were still awake. But then they took him away. The inner lump from him grew from him. That's why, from him, he brought me, he broke the blood. I started up such an infection. Apparently, this infection continued for 30 years. The journalist noted, after that Agafia was unable to build her family. She became disillusioned with people and, most importantly, this story undermined her health. Please subscribe to the channel, press the notification bell, rate this video and chat in the comments about the family of famous old believers. I also ask you to switch to other videos about Agafya Lykova, which you now see in the end screensavers. Thank you all for watching.